So, as many of you have probably suspected from the multitude of creations I have shown off on my YouTube channel, I am a really big LEGO fan. But there is nothing in the world that gets my gears going like LEGO Star Wars. LEGO Star Wars has been a massive part of my life since I learned how to play with Lincoln Logs properly. And because of that, I have seen a ton of different things over the years, and I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this topic. Now, I know that a lot of you are probably confused on why a SkyTuber is making a video on LEGO of all things, but over the past few months in my private life, I've been watching the constantly devolving state of LEGO Star Wars, and recently I have witnessed something that woke up the commentary side of my brain. Now, this has happened multiple times before with other topics to the point that I have almost made videos on them, but nothing, and I mean nothing, has gotten me so pissed off that I was frothing at the mouth over it, and it was freaking LEGO of all things. This is not going to be a professionally made video outside the sources I use to prove my points. No, this is going to be a rant on the utter nightmare that LEGO Star Wars has become for the consumer and the utter train wreck of a wave that will be arriving on shelves August 1st. But for all of you to understand my rage, we need to go all the way back to December of last year. Now, just to be clear, the reason why we are going back to the winter wave of last year is not because this is where everything was starting to go wrong. We are going back to this time period because this is where things were beginning to slope in a way that we haven't really seen at that point. Now, if you don't know, this was the wave that set 75372, or the Clone Trooper and Battle Droid Battle Pack, released, and the reason why I bring this up is because of its price. Now, when the 501st Battle Pack released 4 years prior in 2020, which included 4 clones, an ATRT, a speeder bike, and 2 B1 battle droids, it was priced at $30 with 285 pieces. Now, at face value, that seems expensive until you realize that it basically bundled a whole set and a portion of another set into one while giving us 6 figures to play around with. And since these two sets are the same price, let's compare them. Now, I want you to notice how the more recent battle pack is less of a bang for your buck build since it not only has less pieces, but it also consists of multiple micro builds, but to give the set credit, it does give us more figures. But it does show us that LEGO's prices have been rising and their quality has been falling. But it's never really been as obvious as if you compare newer sets to older sets, and a good example of this is a more recent set, Ahsoka's Jedi Interceptor. Now, this set retailed at $44.99 with 290 pieces and 3 minifigures, a Clone Wars Ahsoka, Anakin Skywalker, and R7A7. Now, if this is your first time ever seeing a Jedi Interceptor, you are probably assuming that this is the norm, but in actuality, it is far from it, as the last Interceptor LEGO released in 2020 with 248 pieces, including Anakin and R2-D2, was $30. So can somebody tell me why 42 extra pieces increased the set price by $15? This has been happening in LEGO Star Wars for years, and I genuinely thought that the worst we would ever see this go was with the $70 U-Wing we got this year in May, which manages to be a downgrade compared to the $80 set we got in 2016. 9 years ago. But little did any of us know how bad things would get, since this August wave is gearing up to be one of the most overpriced waves that I have ever seen in the more than a decade I have been following LEGO Star Wars. So let's go set by set and break all of this down. Starting with the $45 Battle Pack. Yes, you heard me correctly, viewer, a $45 Battle Pack. Now, at this point you might be thinking, a $45 Battle Pack? That must come with like 12 figures and a couple of pretty big builds, right? Right? Now, I'm going to be honest here and say that this is not a quote-unquote bad set, because it genuinely isn't. It does a lot of stuff that I actually like. The new shoulder pad piece is a good step in the right direction when it comes to the shoulder and waist cape problem we've been having for a while. The ATRT looks great, and the spider droid looks just as good, which is something we haven't seen for a hot minute, but good god, that price is genuinely awful. Even comparing it to the current battle pack that's going to be out on shelves alongside it, this set is more of a downgrade, since it includes less figures and is way more expensive compared to the Clone Trooper and Battle Droid pack. And what's the kicker about this new set is that it has 258 pieces. Want to make a guess on what the Clone v Battle Droid pack has? The one that came out before this one? 215. That's right, this new battle pack is going to have 43 more pieces than the last one, which somehow makes it more expensive by 15 bucks, with lesser builds and lesser characters. This set should have been $30 at the least, but that's all the thoughts I really have on this one. And if you think that this was bad, you ain't seen nothing yet, you sweet summer child. Now, the next two sets I'm going to talk about is the UCS ATST and the Buildable Ewok, and the reason why I'm pairing them together here is because, well, I don't really know about the pricing with the newer buildable figures in the UCS sets, and to be completely honest, these are meant to be more of a collectible than anything else, so I'll let it slide. What we're actually here to talk about is the new V19, because it's not only overpriced like literally everything else in this wave, but it also looks pretty bad, at least compared to its predecessors. This new V19 comes in at the price of $69.99 and has 3 minifigures, a Clone Wars Obi-Wan, a new Asajj Ventress, and a new clone pilot with a new mold to boot and a piece count of 567. Now, when comparing this set to the previous V19, it isn't even close. Yes, this one is more scale accurate to the figures, but the older one it was not only less expensive at $55, but it also comes off as less bulky compared to the newer one. But to once again give this set credit, it's not only improved the landing function, but it also comes with 2 extra and extremely detailed figures. But we are having some problems with the figure as well, as the clone pilot's visor is actually smaller than it is on the box. And this isn't going to be the last time we see this. No. Far from it. Now, I already hear some of the comments going on about inflation, and I understand that to an extent, but for most, if not all of these sets, they don't seem like they are increasing via inflation, but through greed. If everything went up by like $5 at a somewhat similar size to their predecessor sets or over time, nobody would have batted an eye. But we have gotten to the point where things are going up by insane degrees and getting smaller on top of that. And that's the real problem I have with this new V19 Starfighter, which is decent at best because of these factors. So let's get on to a set that I actually have a single qualm with, the Force Burner Snowspeeder, which has 3 minifigures, 349 pieces, and retails at 55 doubloons. Now, even though this is another set from the Rebuild the Galaxy line, it is still overpriced to high hell, with this being way more egregious since the last Snowspeeder set, that wasn't a 4+ set, the 20th anniversary Snowspeeder, had 4 minifigures, 309 pieces, and retailed at $39.99. This new set is $15 more with only 40 more pieces and less minifigures. If the price was like $35 or hell even $40, I wouldn't have really cared that much and probably would have promoted the set, but good lord, this is just awful. And speaking of being egregious, let's talk about Jango Fett's Starfighter because this is the one that started to crack me. Now, this new set comes with 3 figures, a beautiful Jango Fett figure, a young Boba Fett figure, and a Lama Su, coming with 707 pieces and retailing at $69.99. Now, this alone ruins the set in my eyes because for one of this size, that price is just atrocious. But then I remembered something. Boba Fett had a set release 4 years ago to the day of this set releasing, and they look strikingly similar, to the point that I wouldn't blame you if you thought that these were just color swaps. So I decided to do a bit of research, and I learned that at 593 pieces, which is 114 less than Jango's Starfighter, and with 2 figures, Boba Fett and the Mandalorian, this set comes out at $39.99 retail. So correct me if I'm wrong here, but if I'm understanding this correctly, LEGO are basically selling us the same set we got 4 years ago to the day, with small, barely noticeable alterations, a couple of figures switched around, and some colors swapped around, with $30 extra slapped on. Now, you must be thinking, well, if the price hiked in such a drastic way, maybe the set is bigger than the last one, right? Well, you're right, but you're also wrong, because the set is only bigger by a centimeter. Trust me, I looked at the official set proportion to confirm this, and its dimensions changed by only a centimeter. Once again, this is a case of a LEGO set in this wave being way too expensive, and even by itself and not comparing it to everything else, this is nasty work. But now with all the little guys out the way, let's make our way to the 2 sets that I know a lot of you have been waiting for since they have been discussed to death. And since one of them is less egregious compared to the other by a smidge, let's start off with the Battle of Fallujah MTT, which comes in with 12 minifigs, technically 2 if you exclude the droids, 976 pieces, and a $160 retail price. Like, I barely need to say anything here. The 2014 MTT, you know, the last MTT we got before this one, 11 years ago, not only had the same amount of figures, but also came with 954 pieces, which is just 22 less, and retailed at $89.99. This new set is $70 more expensive than the better, far cheaper set that came out over 11 years ago. And before you hit me with the inflation hogwash, I just want you to look at this new MTT and ask, is this worth $160? And to me, my answer is no. But at least this one isn't falling apart. That's right, viewer, there is a set so bad that it's not only one of the most expensive in the wave, a downgrade to the original, and is currently falling apart in the hands of reviewers who got it early. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to the last, but certainly not least LEGO set of this wave, the 2025 Republic Juggernaut, which comes with 8 figures, being 3 battle droids, 3 galactic marines with new head molds, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and a Commander Bakara, who's also sporting a new head mold, with the set having 813 pieces at the low price of $160. I think we should go point by point on how awful this thing is. When it comes to being a downgrade, it is not only noticeably smaller, but the last turbo tank that we got, all the way back in 2016 no less, retailed at $110 with 6 minifigures in 903 pieces. This new Juggernaut is somehow more expensive by $50 with more than 100 less pieces than its predecessor. And if you think that all of this is bad, then you haven't seen the half of it. As YouTubers got their early reviews of this set, they all began to slowly notice something. If you try holding up the set by the top and not the bottom, the set will begin to crumble apart. Oh, Neon, I hear some of you say. They never said that you're supposed to hold the Juggernaut up by the top of the set, and to be fair, you're probably right. But here's the funny thing. You could hold up the other turbo tanks by their chassis, as proved by multiple owners of the older sets, some being the first turbo tank sets LEGO has ever made. So why can't you do it with this one? And I'll tell you the reason why. It's because they didn't put any Technic parts like bars or lift arms inside of the frame. And this isn't happening with just one review or anything. This is a constant problem that is being seen with almost every LEGO review of this Juggernaut, which means that one of the most anticipated sets of this wave is a fragile and downgraded mess. So now that I have actually calmed down and looked back, I'm pretty sure I figured out the problem that literally every set, excluding one, has faced throughout this wave. And to put it in simple terms, these are good sets that are just way too expensive. If the prices of these sets were lowered to a reasonable price, like something around the other licensed sets that they sell, this would have been considered one of the best LEGO Star Wars waves that we have seen in years. But because of how expensive everything is, it is being regarded as its absolute worst. I'm not here whining and complaining because I like seeing the LEGO Star Wars brand trip over itself and get the ire of every LEGO Star Wars fan out there. I'm here whining and complaining because I actually care about this stuff and I want to see it succeed. So that just raised the pretty big question of what happened here. And I think I have 2 pretty good answers that are somewhat out of LEGO's control. Now, the first thing, and the pretty obvious one, is inflation, as you could probably see from all the other LEGO sets that have come out from LEGO. Now, this is just an inevitability when it comes to some products being sold. Things are going to go up. But for LEGO specifically, they have been going up too fast, to the point that consumers just can't keep up anymore, especially younger consumers. Children have pretty much become the lifeblood of LEGO until recent years, where some sets have been more geared towards adults since, well, a lot of adults have grown up with LEGO and they still like buying and building sets. It's become its own market now. Kids on budgets probably look at these sets now and probably go to cheaper brands like City and Ninjago since they are far cheaper at an equal quantity. Like seriously, you could get a boat or a police car from City at a cheaper price than nearly all of the battle packs on sale right now. But the big thing that's screwing over LEGO Star Wars is Star Wars itself. Now, I haven't mentioned this earlier, but a lot of the more recent sets of other waves coming out at the same time as this one are just less expensive compared to Star Wars. Hell, a Jurassic World Rebirth set has the somewhat same amount of pieces as the Juggernaut and is half the price. And a lot of people in the LEGO community have speculated that the reason why this is because the cut that Star Wars, and more importantly Disney, gets from these sets. Remember, LEGO needs Lucasfilms, and more importantly, Disney's permission and licensing deals to get these sets made. And if they want to make a profit while also paying Disney, they need to bump up the price of these sets compared to others. Now, I know this ending is pretty abrupt and all, but all I really have to say is that if you want change to happen, and if you want to get these sets, just wait for them to go on sale and buy them later. Or you could just get some cool custom figures, because there's a lot of really good quality custom figures out there if you just want the minifigures from these sets, which I know that a lot of people do. But I know that there are a lot of LEGO Star Wars fans out there who just will not wait, and because of that, I'm not exactly sure if we'll be able to stop this from continuing. Fan bases can take a lot of punishment before they actually start boycotting things, so until then, I'm pretty sure this stuff is going to keep going down the same road that it's going down. But since I don't want to end this video on a sour note, here's some things I want to tell you about. Custom minifigures and custom sets are kind of booming like they never have before, to the point that they are becoming more well known to the wider public, and even if the quality is not as good as LEGO's, a lot of these sets are actually really good cost and somewhat decent. But with that said and done, I just would like to thank you all for watching. Like always, hit the subscribe button if you enjoy content like this, share this around so I can grow the channel, leave some comments down below to make the algorithm happy, check out my usual stuff like the Return to Skyland series, the Skylanders lore playlist, and my Discord, which are all in the description below, and I will see you all in the next one.